Thank you so much, Zeke. And it is time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for Chapter 2, Season 4 of FNCS Trios. It's going to be an exciting time. Sundown, it's going to be awesome to have this with you. We got 6 games here for day 1. Let's just get to it. I'm sure the bus is in flight.
The bus is in flight and the trios are ready. Don't forget the semifinal round wrapped up just before this, so they'll have all the momentum rolling through, and that was a big part behind my prediction, particularly. Noah, Aqua, and Raison were able to clear out and win their last 3 games with a combined, I believe, just over 46 eliminations, so just under the 50-point mark. But let's check out the map there. First, you can see we have a little bit of a northwestern circle. You can see the initial kind of spread of teams. We've talked about who's going to be at Dubes and who's going to be at Starks, what the contention looks like, and right away, it looks like Stark is completely clear for Mongrel, Tayson, and Mitro, pushing everyone else away from that power POI, so they will get that early access and the early priority to all of the loot and mats that come with it.
I mean, possibly the scariest team to fight in the EU. They're very, very aggressive. I mean, you got Mongrel and Mitro, you know, 2 of the most aggressive players out there that could frag out of their minds. And then you have Tayson, who has probably the biggest challenge throughout everybody in this entire EU region. How to wrangle in Mongrel and how to wrangle in Mitro. But at the same time, what an amazing 2-player combo to unleash, to send out like 2 ravenous dogs to get the job done. And you said so yourself, this is a power POI. And Reese was saying it throughout the whole entire time. When they have a power POI uncontested, big things are going to happen. You get the mat resources you're going to need. You're going to get the mobility you're going to need and the power weapons from that vault. The one thing I wonder here, Sundown, is if someone's going to decide to be like, you know what? I think it's time to go ahead and push and make a risk and contest these 2. But like I said, it would be a very scary thing to think about.
Yeah, and it's not something I think you're going to see right off of the start. I think it's going to end up being more of a desperation play. But with 12 games over the course of the tournament, I would expect more than we traditionally see in the 6-game format. Teams are going to end up either requiring to pivot to other drop spots or go and contest other people with the idea of like, hey, if we go and take them out right now, we can leapfrog them super easily. Like if the 2nd place team is uncontested at Sweaty, for example, and every single time they're just right behind Mitro, Mongrel, and Tayson, all it takes is one fight going there where they're uncontested, and you can get kind of that quick 1v3 or 1v2 execute on the side if they're a little too split and a little too comfortable, and you're able to make that happen. But now, flipping on over here, we have Savage, Lecce, and Benji. It looks like they have one other team. No, they're relatively, yep, they're uncontested on the side. Those are just the other AI, the Doom spots who are rolling around on the side. So both of those mythic POIs, both of those vaults, completely uncontested and going over to arguably 2 of the strongest teams in the region, if not the world. I mean, Lecce, Savage, and Benji, the results speak for themselves.
And the results are here already. Savage having 3 eliminations. So there was a team there, and they said, this is our land. This is going to be our ride for the rest of the way. But we got some engagements breaking out here south, way down south here in Camp Cod, and it's Mexi going in with the squad mates. Gall going against Clement, Floki, and Nakor. A big pick here going into this fight. You know, again, this is game 1. You're going to have a span of 12 games to get the job done. And it's important to get off that hot start. We're talking about consistency in trios. When you have a consistent ride the entire time, you don't need that many. Sundown, there's not going to be that many crazy pop-off games here. You can't just have one. You're going to have consistent 1, 2, or 3 to be able to stay in that top 10 running. Again, only the top 15 advance to the heats, and that's going to be a big time. But now this engagement breaks out, and a nice hit from Clement, but Clement gets right back hit, right in the grill. He's got to retreat, and this is going to be a tough situation. It's a 2v3 right now, and you have this river, and the river is not going to be it. You guys basically swimming upstream right there, and that is going to be a big-time engagement and a big-time 3-piece for this trio going forward.
Mexi, Exponential going down there, getting taken out on the side there in a really well-executed fight, making sure you isolated the players, got your knocks, get your siphon, and then close up with your teammates. But now straight over into another 3v3. This was Resub's pick there. You can see Nate trying to push off. So far, no eliminations from either side going on here. See, Nate does have that rare charge shotgun, which when you're directly box to box doesn't give you a ton of advantage. They do have one of the downs there. Kezix was able to pick that one up. Nate able to convert on it, but ForZR then immediately gets taken out. They try and close the gap, but good job on the other side of that in order to isolate that 1v2 as well. They're trying to get the body away, utilize the crash pad to make sure they carry their teammate off, and they're able to get the revive. So a nice little bit of macro awareness here from Kezix to get him away, get some metal around, get the revive going. They have plenty of slurpfish and heals to get ForZR immediately back into us. But the question is, can the opponents take advantage of the fact that he's reviving and close in on this 1v1? Bevies has to go now, and you can see has that epic charge shotgun, but as soon as this revive comes out, he's not going to have time to go through a big 118 tag to kind of give him a moment back into him, but Kezix says, no, that's not going to be enough. They're going to clean that one up. They'll get the 3 eliminations, and so far, 5 trios have already dropped early on in EU. This is a little more aggressive than I kind of expected the first match to be. People really kind of putting their stamps on these initial fights and doing it quickly.
Absolutely. Reese's pick survives on. And you see what was so important about that. Fighting over the Quinjet, you have the ability to upgrade your kit and get in that Stark Energy Rifle, which is going to be a phenomenal weapon to have to get those storm tags. And this is my pick. We go from Reese's pick to my pick. Anas, Thomas HT, and Flick. Such a strong team, usually landing in the Steamy Stacks area, but switching their drop spot just a couple of days ago on Twitter. Flick went ahead and tweeted out they're dropping in Dirty Docks. So from the people from our NA audience, that's a place where Miro, Reverse 2K like to drop. But as you can see here, the pressure from Tayson, Mitro, and Mongrel. This is what Mongrel and the squad do. After they loot, they go ahead and perch up on these high elevated areas to get their storm tags that you desperately need. When it comes to this trios fight, if this is your first time watching FNCS trios at a high level, Storm Surge will be a factor. So our trios are going to have to solve that issue and find the tags. So early engagements like in this will be a big factor going on to the mid game, where things are going to get a little bit spicy, and of course the end game to avoid that dreaded roving Storm Surge circle. But now Rotary picking up one, Stormy Right picking one, the Russian squad who are not landing in Doom's domain, going all the way down to Fortilla, going to have a big time fight, and they have a new squad mate in Karachi, and Karachi's such a dangerous fragger, but Stormy Right has a dangerous presence right now, but down goes Rotary, down low. Deizu gets it, Stormy Right does get a siphon right there, gets the knock, big time knock, and I think that's about to wrap this up as he's going to go ahead and push down further down. Karachi, yes, he got it right there. Gets Day. That's a big-time 3-piece right there. It's going to be huge because you're down way into the storm, and you having that siphon, and you having it all free, Sundown. But what a great start for Kirachi, Rotary, and Stormy Right.
Yeah, good job closing out that fight there and being able to close it, like we said, taking it quickly, especially when you're so far away. But now we're going to check out what that early Doom's Domain fight was. I know we peeked in. I missed the fact that 3 eliminations were already out, but Savage made it happen quickly. They closed out, and that was Aqua, Noah, and Raison being taken out right away there off of the Doom's Domain fight. Apologies for us missing it, but we will catch you up on that action, and Savage picking up all 3 of those, getting the points on the board. Don't forget, each elimination is a point, but also just cementing that team who, like we talked about, won their last 3 games with over 40, I think it was 46, 49 eliminations was what it was, so just under 50 going through there, and then immediately dropping into the finals where we have the set lobby. So not only do you lose all of that momentum against one of your key rivals over the course of these next 12 games, but you have to sit there and watch everyone else play and have a fun time, and you're waiting for that next cue to come through. But now we're going to hop on board with the team over by the X Agency, X Authority. It's Matzo, Amplify, and ADN with a decent amount of space to themselves, a decent number of mats. And you can see that next zone is actually pulling a little bit more central, so not a ton of variable terrain going to be in play for this late game. It's a relatively flat area, but you can see the rotation through the river allowing them to kind of speed up. They are a little bit spread out, which is something we want to talk about when in trios particularly. The key thing you're looking to fight is to either get a pick or get damage on one person and then collapse on them as fast as you can. It's really difficult to fight another trio just straight up. However, if you're able to isolate one person and take them out, you can usually get an advantage. And right now, that's what Fort Venti is trying to do. And he gets the player who initially had the revive. So the other player who is coming through and just got that reboot card off is only going to have 100 wood and that gray pistol. So it's really key to kind of make this 3v1 that much more difficult. Rotary on the side there, you can see, was just able to kind of sneak over and pick up that pump, but that's about it. It's largely going to be on the back of Kiriachi to make the plays here. However, they aren't in threat of Storm Surge. Everything else, though, is pretty much against them. They have the Storm at their back. They have a team looking to pin them who knows they're there, which is the most important part. They're not going to let them go at every point in time, and they're going to scavenge everything on the rest of this rotation as we move further central.
And you're seeing the butterfly effect, Sundown, of this entire engagement that happened at Fortilla. Yes, you won that opening engagement. Yes, you're kind of trying to alpha your way as reset on your POI, but that can cost you later down the road. And Kiriachi and Rotary have a long way to go to get back into zone. And yes, they have some gatekeepers that are stop them. But here we are with Mona, Mahure, and Rock Bottom Crinky. And they have a really strong position. They don't have to worry about Storm Surge at all. They got 247 above. They're vibing, and this is the thing that we're talking about, the difference of opens going into these set lobbies. You're going to see these kinds of bases here with a nice overview look where people are going to open up edits, take pot shots as much as possible, and that is the danger of doing that. If you open up a window, you get popped right back in the face, and that was built by Legend Slicks right there with an important thing, and that's the green light that some people get, Sundown, where you're talking about when one of them goes down. But the kind of like the sigh of relief, I would say, if your teammate goes down from a long-range snipe like that, at least you have the ability to get them back on their feet and heal back up.
Yeah, there's no way that the Become Legend squad was going to be able to convert on that. Just Rifla, Laris, and Slicks there are going to be satisfied with the 262 storm damage they get. But right now, back on board here, Kezix, Nate, and 4ZR. No elimination since that first scrap that we saw, but currently have this team pinned against the side there. It's Dovin, Tez, and I believe Tiltern trying to get out of the side, just barely on the edge of zone. And it looks like the French squad is going to commit to a push here. 4ZR ramping up, Nate on the other side. They're going to work together to try and maintain the high ground. They're going to take it away almost immediately. Tiltern goes down right away. They're going to box him up, shake him down, and then most importantly, they're going to make sure they get a max damage headshot to get that Storm Surge. So now they know where Tez and Dovin are, and they're going to close the gap and take this fight.
Summoner moment right now. The HP is being squeezed out of these boxes, and Dovin and Tez are going to have to do their best to survive, but you only got a minute, and then Storm's going to keep pushing. Down goes Tez, so it's up to Dovin. Can he clutch? No, he doesn't. That is the siphon. That is the points right there, and that is a second squad that 4ZR, Nate, and Kezix get out. And these are going to be a lot of engagements going forward, as we see right here, the Rocket League new little era here. Going forward, a lot of edge fights, a lot of gatekeeping, but now the story is Mongrel, Tayson, and Mitro, who probably heard that none of us picked them, and they take out my pick. Down goes Enos Flick and Thomas HD, and they go down to the furious buzzsaw of Tayson, Mitro, and Mongrel. Unbelievable, Sundown. I can't, it's kind of like a disservice for them not to pick. I'm sure chat was going crazy and spamming Mongrel over and over again, and now they're making us look foolish. And actually, Thomas HD is still up. He still has an opportunity. He has to get away because he knows who's knocking on that door, Sundown.
He doesn't really want to be able to stay in this distance, but I'm assuming if he had any utility, he would have used it to help in the fight before. So he's kind of stuck in a really awkward spot. He can't really work downward to get the reboot cards, and getting any form of that loot, you're going to run into the buzzsaw. One thing to note, though, is that Enos was actually down by a third party, so only 2 of those eliminations going over to Mongo, where he picked one up before. So just a little bit of an influence there, but we talk about when every single point matters, we have to keep that in mind. But now over on board here, Mythic, Mido, and Tony Mythic Fan, you can see there, just trying to occupy a little bit of space, a box fight going on. They are well inside the next zone, so don't necessarily have to be taking this fight. You see 25 trios, 66 players still remaining, but first player will go down there, and a good job pushing into the box. Can they execute and close the fight out? That's Florini of M10 going down in the first case. No shakedown coming through, so not necessarily too worried about where the rest of the opponents are. They're just going to get whatever mats, whatever damage they can from them, back up, and then reset, which is probably a good call. You can see them wanting to press forward, but they have enough space right now where they're not overly threatened.
I'm surprised, that trios are using the crash pads. You see that more only in solo type competition, Sundown, where they're kind of using the crash pads to get in. But it's kind of showing you that how every point matters. And on a recent, the analyst kind of broke that down and saying, it's necessarily not about elimination. It's about placements. All throughout these high-level play and set lobbies, the elims come towards the end game. We're talking about zones 7, 8, and 9. And when it comes to trios, placements don't get dull out till top 17. So we are ways away from that right now. So you're seeing every point getting picked up. But I gotta wonder, Sundown, Is using mobility worth it at this stage, considering it is so vital, especially going for those, avoiding those max pulls and circles that you're seeing how we got a whole trio set up with this nice 3. You got Vorciar, Kezix, and Nate. But I gotta wonder, is it worth using mobility so early, before mid-game?
I would generally argue no. I'd prioritize getting through and getting over to the center of zone as fast as possible and using kind of this type of gatekeeping tactic you can see coming out from the French squad right now, who are able to convert on now their 8th elimination. However, the benefit of if you're able to use mobility and then convert successfully, in most circumstances, the people you're able to then eliminate will have some form of refresher. So you're kind of banking on the fact that they either have a shockwave or have a crash pad there. Then the flip side of that is somebody will spitefully start burning that utility when they realize it's like, well, I'm probably going to get eliminated anyway. Might as well create as much distance as possible. But right now we're going to flip on board here. We have Floki, Nakors, and Clement, another one of those French trios. And you can see the zone pulling even further centrally. So again, almost all excess terrain that's on the map that would be a problem is completely out of play. It's going to be largely the player built issues on these rotations, so we can expect to see a little bit more tunneling and a little bit more kind of calculated use of utility rather than forced use. But right now you can see Nakors trying to worry about the box to box. You can see Storm Surge coming through on the side there. 12 players will have to go down. 50 players in that top left-hand corner is what you will see when Storm Surge turns off. That will activate when the zone closes, and then it will do 25 damage every 10 seconds to the players who have done the least amount of damage to their opponents. So that's what we're talking about when we say you're looking for Storm Surge tags. You're looking to get damage and resolve early fights and make sure you're maximizing your damage on downed opponents.
And zones 1 through 4 have all been kind of going closer to the center of them. But now we're about to get to the 5th zone, which is what we like to call the half in, half out. It's going to be half in the safe side and half in the storm. And once it pulls, you're going to see a lot of scramble and mad dash rotations. A lot of people using those crash pads. A lot of people using the shockwaves. As you've seen, a lot of picks are happening right here from this French squad. And then after that, zone 6, 7, 8, and 9 are going to be rotations. And 9 is going to be closing time, where it's going to completely close. So here's the chaos. As you see, Clement, Floki, Nakor have a full pool. They got go all the way across, and look at how much they have to navigate through. There's not a lot of builds or anything to hide. There's a lot of open field, as you pointed out, Sundown. And this is all going to come down to players' builds and their tunnels and their IGLs. Their in-game leaders are going to have to lead them into the safe side. So everyone that you're seeing right here, ladies and gentlemen, on this screen are not safe. They're soon going to have to move to the other side, to the northwest side as much as possible. And you're seeing this team right here as everyone's going to make a rotation, but that's the team. Benji, Lecce, and Savage. That is the team that's going to be the most dangerous because Sundown, they got Doom's Mystical Bomb.
And that mystical bomb, just being able to whale it down on opponents, not only will it destroy certain builds in an AoE, but anything that is able to be caught on fire. So those wooden builds will immediately go up. It makes it just that much more difficult, and it puts that much more pressure. Right now you can see Tenzin, Melee, and Nako trying to set up a decent form of bouncer shockwave combo here, but not quite able to get it. Now going to be forced to tunnel in, and they're heading kind of into that meat grinder of players. Storm Surge is still on for one poor individual who'll be taking that tick of damage. Everyone else will be clear of it right now. And Melee, Nako, and Tenzin getting the excess mats there from another player who was eliminated. They weren't able to convert on that one themselves, but just being the benefactor of kind of riding around on the lower end, you can see Savage gets a knock there on Paco. So if he's able to convert on that, yep, Tomsy actually goes down from Tenzin. That was another point from them, so good job going through there. Storm Surge will turn off, and we're closing in almost on kind of that first placement threshold. So we talk about just how painful it is to go down before this circumstance. Well, you're going to be missing out on all those opportunities, not only for eliminations, but also picking up key placement points, as we see the French trio picking up the other French trio. Nate gets Clement. Nazor is also going down at the hand of Forziar, so good job picking that one up. And we're getting really now into the moving circles. It signifies the transition from mid into late game, and it really is about execution here. And we talk about execution. You see a cheeky little gas can there in Mongo's inventory.
Oh man, those gas cans, things are about to say quote-unquote explosive, and things are going to pop off as Mongrel, Tayson, and Mitro are popping off right at the moment here. And this is going to be a big-time factor, ladies and gentlemen, because this is where, yes, placements do get doled out, and if you were kind of playing passive and trying to get to in-game as much as possible, you're going to have to frag out right here because it's going to be all for naught. So right now, there's going to be really, really strong teams in this tournament who walk away with 0 points because they just so happen to fall right in this moment. But now we're getting to placement times. It's top 17. Moraine gets a pickup on Savage. Benji returns the favor and gets the elim on Moraine. And here you go, the rotation into the safe zone. You're seeing the shockwaves, which is a very rare mobility item. So a lot of players, you're going to have to hold on to that. That shockwave is a grenade that allows you to vault through builds and gives you immunity to fall damage. So it's such a strong thing as the chaos unfolds. You're going to see multiple layers here built here, folks. You're going to see bottom layer, mid layer, and of course the ultimate height layer. As we're on board with Jatsu and Bison Paco. Paco already gone. Jatsu picking up 1.2 elims right now, and the squad together has 6 points as placements are being doled out. Nate is still up getting an elim, and you're seeing the zone is going to move back to the west. And like you said, Sundown, this is going to be a very chaotic bottom layer because it's all going to be player builds, and players are going to have to keep their head on the swivel to avoid those edit eliminations.
Yeah, and we're into the top third of the lobby now, 33 players remaining. You saw that explosion. That was the gas can thrown out from Mongrel. But up on the high ground right now, you have Just Spray and Lanouf. You can see the Become Legends players on the side. Tayson does get picked up there. We saw Jamside pick up Mitro on the side, which means it could just be Mongrel left. And here it is on board with him. He has the one knock, popping the minis now to try and find the side. Only 8 points to their name so far with such a successful start. It's going to be all on the back of the young English player to see what he can do. Some great tunneling coming out, making sure he's on the side of the zone. Lecce picking up Amplify, also signifying that trio is still in the game. The Doomsday main area not on height where you typically see them because of the excess shockwaves that come from landing at that vault in that POI. Mongrel now setting up the ramp for a crash pad, but poorly executed because the player on top ended up blocking it. Going to look for his own layer now with 2 crash pads left and just staying alongside the side. We've noticed 5 players have gone down, but not a single full trio going down, so no points going through. Mongrel actually going to go all the way to the front side of the zone with a brilliantly executed crash pad. It cost him 2 ticks to the zone, but now he has priority on all the players who are going to rotate through him. This is the spot where the young player looks to make plays, but while he's looking for plays, Lecce continues racking up elim after elim after elim. He's been the entirety of that top left feed so far.
Lecce is one of those players that has to prove that he can run with sevens, and oh my goodness, down goes Mongrel. Lazary, it's just a matter of time, Sundown. You were looking at his match situation. He had nothing but wood, and that is just going to be a green light. But look at height. It is, I believe that's going to be Reese's pick for ZR. Kezix and Nate, they have the strong human, and I can't believe the team from Doom of Benji loses height, but they're still in the mix right now as they get a split. 4ZR at the ultimate high. Look at the left side. 4ZR is really high up there, so no one could take height with them with the shockwave. And then down below is Nate and Kezix are kind of disrupting everything down below, and that is what's called a split. And that split's going to be a big-time factor right now. Now we're on board with the top of the split as Benji goes down, Lecce goes down, so it's just going to be a matter of time. It is Reese's pick all in the riding right now as they have the advantage here, Sundown.
It's Become Legends on the low ground against Grizzy and Rams, the French against this squad here. And one thing, Larice, the converted, I believe, mobile or console player coming over and having a great showing so far. Rifle and Slicks, the team we saw beforehand, are now going to deal with the crash pads being down. It should be an execution from the top, cleaning this up. They're already on 14 eliminations. Can they make it 17? Or can the Become Legends trio do something from the low ground? Larice goes down first to Forziar, up on the high ground. Kezix finds Rifle, and then right at the end, he catches Slicks in the face. He says, nah, we take all of those 17 eliminations and the victory royale for match number 1 in the EU FNCS.
Zeke, Shio, Reese, what an unbelievable start here at the EU region. Break it all down for us as the French team walk away with the first victory royale.
Well, Reese,